Hey everybody, welcome back to the Literary Gamers. Matt and Jen here, board game librarian and the dice chucker, and we're bringing you the third video in our series where we rate our collection. Today is B, and once again, if these games appear on this list, they are good enough to be in our collection. Therefore, we don't hate them, it's just we're ranking on how much we like them. So, these videos get a little long. And they're a lot to edit, right?
Yeah, it takes me several hours to edit them up, and I'm pretty quick. Once I get into a groove, I'm there. But yes, so we decided just right now that anything over 15, we're just going to give you like a laundry list of what number they are and what their rating is. And then once we get to number 15, we'll do a little explanation on the why we like them. So, Matt said, did you already say there's 24 on this list?
Yep, there's 24 games that rank in B. I can see, though, that some people might cry foul with the top two.
I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm the only one who cries foul on this. So, with that being said, I'll do... You
want to do the rundown?
I'll do the rundown.
All right.
So, at number 24, we have Brew Dice, published by Foxmind Games, at a 6.75. Number 23 is Bells. I can't remember who that's published by.
Me neither.
I'll hopefully post it up in the magic of video editing at a 7.375. Number 22 is Back to the Future, Back in Time. This is the
Funko Games one.
The Funko Games one.
This one didn't really click with us.
At a 7.455. Number 21 gets kept because I ooh and ah over it all the time, and I will continue to. It's Battle Kittens by
Ultra Pro.
Ultra Pro, yes. There's Battle Penguins, I think.
Yeah.
This is a 7.5, a normal number, folks. Number 20 is Battle Line.
It's the Reiner Knizia one.
And the version that we have is by GMT.
Yep, and it's the Ancients. I understand they just came out, the medieval one.
Yep, this is a 7.58. Number 19, also at a 7.58, is Battle of the Bards. And the next one, number 18, Back to the Future, Dice Through Time, 7.705.
This is the Ravensburger one, where you're playing through the trilogy. Anyone who plays games with me knows I'm a sucker for a grid, and that one has got it in spades.
Yep. Number 17 is Bargain Quest, Renegade Game Studios, 7.705. Number 16 shot up really high because Matt has a fondness for it. Oh, number 16. I'm sorry. Number 16, Matt has a fondness for, and
you blame me that it got that high.
I think you told me you ranked it really high.
I really enjoy it.
Is Bricks by Stronghold Games, 7.75. So that was number 24 through 16.
As another side note, I do apologize if the sound is a little wonky. The ginger jerk took it upon himself to chew through one of the microphones. So we only have one, and it's being held by our notepad right here.
Yeah, we'll work on that for next week, folks. It ain't happening tonight. And maybe he'll make an appearance. He was down here, so yeah. Again, he's more famous than we are.
Yeah.
Why don't you lead off, Matt, with number 15?
Number 15 is Burgle Brothers at a 7.75. This is Fowers Games.
Fowers Games.
This is a really nice heist game. It's one of those deceiving games. It comes in this really cool packaging, and it's like a nice small package. And then you set it up, and it sprawls on the table, so it's really interesting in that regard. But why don't you talk a little bit about the gameplay?
A cooperative game where you are working together to try to get through the levels of the particular building that you're in. Variable player powers, a very diverse cast of characters you can play as too, which I really like. And the artwork, I think, on all of the Fowers games just immediately stands out and has that kind of super cool
60s spy vibe.
60s spy vibe. I feel like Burgle Brothers is one that we always enjoy.
Yep.
We forget about it.
We forget we have it because for all our micro games, we have a little slider bookshelf, and it kind of gets buried under some of the others. But that's only because everything, when I pull one out, I always kind of put it back in really quickly, and so it kind of just stays at the bottom for no reason. It's a great game. It just gets forgotten.
It does. You and I have talked about how we've seen where people have done the 3D.
Yep.
Versions of Burgle Brothers, which is really cool. But definitely a solid cooperative game, I think.
Number 4. Number 14 is Brew Crafters at a 7.75 as well. This is from Greater Than Games. Yep. This is the small box beer making game with the cards, and you get dealt cards, and you're trying to create a tableau to get yourself as many points as you can. It's a nice little combo, just tableau builder. Not much to say about it. It's a neat little game. You can play in usually 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah,
I think it's portable of sorts, that you could bring it to a brewery, as we oft do.
It does spread out a little bit, though, so you got to be careful with that.
It does, and yeah, I also don't have much to say about this. Number 13 is a really silly one at a 7.75. And that is Bermuda Pirates by Foxvine Games. So, do you want to talk about the premise on this one? Because it's super cool.
You're trying to get your ship from a corner island to the middle where you can get treasure. However, you have these these boards you put down underneath the game boards, and they have magnets in random places. And so when you can only push with one finger along the path, and if your boat gets stuck, you have these little buoys you can put down, and then you can start over again, and you're trying to avoid that. But you only have 3 buoys, so when you want to go replace something, you might not have ones. You have to get rid of one that you've had already and put it there and get to the island and back. Excuse me, with treasure.
Did you talk about the magnets?
Yeah, the magnets underneath the board. That's what gets you stuck. It's a really cool concept. It's a great game for kids. It's a great game for adults, too.
Yeah, it's one that when we play it, we just have a silly, silly fun time and are just goofing around. And, it's good for memory. It's good for dexterity because you're only supposed to use just the one pointer finger to push it along. And I think games like this, they're not language dependent, and, and you can teach them to any age.
We do enjoy playing games outside during the summertime, so we brought this one outside. Forgetting that we have a metal table, and we set it up, and we were just pushing our boats back and forth to the island going, this is easy, forgetting that the table was locking our ship down the whole way anyway, but...
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, very dynamic cover artwork on Bermuda Pirates as well.
Is it a wrap? Sure. Yeah. So, number 12, I want to preface this by saying... we had a great time with this game.
Finally.
The rule book is rough, and that's being kind.
Yeah.
But it was taught to us by someone who really knew how to play the game. And number 12 is Batman Gotham City Chronicles at a 7.83. Our friend Larry went all in for the first wave, and he is just in love with this game. Really a lot of cool Batman minis, and a very interesting way to play the game with, having to rest at some point and get your cubes back. It takes that Conan game and kind of makes it more into not just going around on a hack and slash spree. It's more about trying to get objectives done.
I was not necessarily on this train when it came into our house. Just a lot of the models... I'm not super big fan of in terms of the model choices that were made, especially for the ladies. We read a lot of comics in our house, especially Matt with Batman, and in terms of choices that were made, Yeah, but when we played, again, Larry made it really fun and easy, and we did have fun. Matt and I will play just about anything. If you've followed our list so far, this is maybe our first minis entry that we have done. So we will play miniature games, and for the ones that Matt really enjoys, you will paint them. So I'm somewhat ambivalent to Batman Gotham City Under Siege.
Gotham City Chronicles.
Gotham City Chronicles. Wow. I'm doing a whole spoiler alert here.
I know. The other one's coming.
So, sure. If it's in front of me, I'll play it.
All right. And then at number 11, we have Bottom of the Ninth. Why don't you go on that one?
7.83. Also another one that we forget about. A lot. And we have a couple of the expansions for this game.
Definitely we have the big one, right?
Yes. Is that the one that has the ladies?
Yeah.
Yep, and I try every time to build a roster that has all ladies, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Definitely reminds me of A League of Their Own, playing that game. Battle of the Ninth, I love the artwork, I love the style, I love just that it really feels like a 1930s, 40s game.
It's very tense, too.
It is very tense.
Because you're trying to read each other, and it gives me more of a baseball feel than any other game I've played.
I would say so, too. A card game where there's some bidding and bluffing going on, some dice rolling, and you do get to create your own roster, which I think is probably half of the fun for people.
And I mean, the premise of the game is really simple. It's you got to get one run if you're up to bat, and you have to get 3 outs if you're pitching. That's it. And such a simple thing can be that difficult to do in this game. It's
a pretty quick game, too, depending on how bidding is going and how your dice rolling for the hits is going. But yeah, this is Greater Than Games, and a solid entry for our Bs.
And if you've spent a lot of time in the board game hobby, you'll notice that a lot of the baseball players have familiar names. So if you play it next time, take a look if you haven't noticed it already.
I think Richard Launius is the one you're...
I think Kevin Wilson's in there, too.
Oh, fun.
I think.
Uh-oh.
There's definitely a few.
Our number 10 is the other Batman that I slightly spoiled and is always right... Well, over here-ish. It was over here-ish.
Yeah.
And that's Batman Gotham City Under Siege, 7.875. A delightful cooperative game that is Batman-themed.
Based more off the animated series. So that's a lot of the artwork is pulling from that. And this is the one, if you haven't seen it, it's Richard Launius, I believe.
I believe so as well.
Yeah. IDW. This is the one that has the 3D buildings. And you've got cards underneath of them, and if something bad happens, you have to flip up one of those cards under the building. It'll say whether or not the building blew up or civilians were killed. And you have a tracker, and if so much of that happens, you lose the game. Otherwise, you have to defeat the villains.
Yeah, we've played games where we've won, like, fairly easily, and we've played games where it's just been really bad.
Yeah.
I love that the variety of characters you can play as. And
haven't gotten our hands on the expansion yet.
No, I'm not sure that is it out even?
It is out.
Okay. And each character has its own individual player powers and special colored dice to go along with it. And yeah, I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, not much more to say about this one. If you're a big Batman fan, get it. Especially if you're big into the animated series and grew up with the animated series, this one is a must. And definitely give it a shot. I know that IDW is coming out soon. I don't know if it's in the process of delivering right now or if it's delivered already for the miniatures game for Batman that takes a lot of keys from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that's out. So excited and looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah, that could potentially replace Batman Gotham City Chronicles for us. And just if that rulebook is amazing.
That's all it takes.
Yep. Number 9 is Battlelore.
Second edition.
Second edition, Fantasy Flight Games, 7.875. Our first entry into our Richard Borg collection of...
it's the Commands and Colors series.
The Commands and Colors series. Yeah. This is one that you're really amped up about, so what do you like about it?
Well, first off, it's a shame that I got into Battlelore second edition so late in the game. And the reason I say that is because I got it maybe a month ago, right? Maybe a month and a half ago, and I can't get any of the expansion stuff because it's gone out of print, and if I can get it, it's more than what I paid for the base game. So it's got a really cool idea where you're given cards, and you have to choose a setup. And then after you've chosen that setup, you have points, and you have to put cards on each area. Some of them are blanks, but it's a great way to bluff your opponent before the game even begins. It's the only Commands and Colors game I know, well, kind of, that setup is an integral part of your strategy throughout the game. And then it's just the standard Richard Borg Commands and Colors stuff. You're rolling dice to attack your opponents, seeing what kind of damage you've done. This one brings in magic, so you have some cards that you can play, and lore cards, and all sorts of stuff. It's a really great package.
I'm not as jazzed about this one as Matt is. There's other entries that I like more. I'm not a huge fan of picking my own things. I talked about that last video with Ashes, where you have to create your own deck. I don't know. It's just not... You can tell I was not a Magic player in a former life because, like, I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me, and I feel like I make poor choices, and then these poor choices just screw me for the rest of the game.
You want the game to work for you?
I do.
Okay.
Totally.
So you want the game to create a situation where you can win without you thinking about how you can win?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I think I get it now.
Yes, exactly. But Battlelore was fun. I thought the miniatures were ridiculous and fun, like the big baddies.
Yeah. Good quality minis.
Yeah, it's Fantasy Flight, good quality minis. It is too bad that they never put it in the Descent universe.
No, it isn't the Descent universe.
Oh, well. Color me incorrect over here.
The Old Days of Wonder edition were doing like historical battles. Fantasy Flight, when they were bringing part of Battlelore back, decided to put it in Westeros, and that game was kind of a disaster.
Okay.
So,
is that the one that we have upstairs we can't offload?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
But people love it. I will say that. I know you're out there, Battles of Westeros fans. I'm not insulting you. I know people love it. Good for you. I didn't like it.
It was too fiddly, I think, for us.
Yeah.
With the flags and... All right. Number 8. We have a couple of games in a row that are animal-based. Yay!
Yeah.
Number 8 is Baden Park.
Yes. Baron Parks. We don't have it with us now. But... and... This one is kind of tentative. First off, Phil Walker Harding, Lookout Games. We actually bought it at the Mayfair booth the last year they appeared at Gen Con.
Yeah.
I knew very little about it other than it was polyomino. And it takes a lot of things from Patchwork, Uwe Rosenberg's Patchwork, and simplifies them so you can have a nice, smooth, quick... I call them Zen games that you can just kind of breathe, and I don't care how many points I get. I don't care if I win. I'm having a good time building my park.
I see in Baron Park, I always want to be you. I want to collect all of the bears and put them in their habitats and maximize my space and have enough restrooms and food trucks for people that they're happy and they stay a long time in my Baron Park.
Why is it always about toilets with you?
Okay.
We just got so this is a tentative number 8 because we just got the expansion that came back into print.
That's where you were going with that? I thought your next comment was going to be about toilets and me.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I know what story he's going with. Okay.
So my parents...
Can't tell you that.
My parents were looking for more games during the pandemic because my father has basically played Jim Rummy dry, and my mother said, I need something beside that game because I can't play it anymore. And so showed her Patchwork, she liked it, and then they gave her Barron Park, and... I
think we're going to have to teach it to her.
We're going to have to teach it to them, yeah.
Yeah. Also, another animal game, number 7, is one that sometimes gets a bit of hate.
Oh, it's Richard Garfield's masterpiece, though.
Oh, well, you heard it here, folks. It's Bunny Kingdom by Yellow Games at an 8. Barron Park was also at an 8. Bunny Kingdom. I love Bunny Kingdom. It's adorable. It's cute. It's
vicious.
I think it's super vicious at 2 players. I think it's awesome at 2 players. I love the drafting. And then the expansion with the rainbows.
It added without adding complexity. Yeah.
Exploded with cuteness, folks.
So, one of the things I will say about the 2-player variant is you have to keep on it.
Yep.
Because as soon as you forget to do something in the way the drafting works, the game's done.
Yep. Well, on occasion we'll go, how many cards do you have?
Yep.
I have 7. I have 8.
Someone messed up.
Yep, but essentially a grid game, right? Where you are looking to build your territory and have a variety of resources that the bunnies...
You don't want the same resources over and over.
Yep, and then
the amount of resources you have in that area multiplied by the carrot towers you have in your castles.
Yep, and building up your towers too from your level 1 all the way up to your level 3 it's very mathy. But I don't... That complaint to me sometimes is like, but you like Feld games?
You like Lacerda games?
Like,
and you don't want to do the math in Bunny Kingdom?
Okay.
Sure.
Alright, fine. Okay. And the math, like the chart is actually, like you're given a chart.
Yeah.
So...
You're given a multiplication chart on how to figure out your points.
It's multiplication, folks, but okay. And the bunnies are adorable. I can play as pink. Yes. No orange bunnies for Matt.
My only complaint is we got this when it came out at Gen Con, and the initial board is smaller than I'd like, and I'd heard that they are printing larger boards for it nowadays.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to go out and purchase said new boards. No. We're fine with what we have. But Bunny Kingdom is adorable. I love playing it at Easter time. Because they're so cute!
Number 6 is
on that note,
a new game, and
yes.
I was very pleasantly surprised with number 6. It's Blitzkrieg at 8.125. This is PSC Games. The name of the designer is...
It's Paolo Mori.
Paolo Mori, that's right.
World War II in 20 minutes.
Yeah, pretty accurate.
It really is 20 minutes.
You have tracks for the theaters of the war, and you're trying to get it to either side by playing tokens that are behind your shield, and depending on the type of token you play is how far you move the tracker, and if it ever reaches the complete end before finishing the theater, you get to score it out. And then if it's who's ever farthest along when there's no more spaces to put tokens down in that theater. It's fantastic. It's so simple, but yet there's a lot. It's that, what do they say? Simple to learn, hard to master.
It is. So it's a great 2-player tug-of-war game, and there's some bag building going on of sorts with your chits, but World War II in 20 minutes. It's, I think everything you would want it to be. It's kind of themeless of sorts. Of
sorts, but you can really get into it. Like, hey, I pulled a naval space out. I'm going to make sure that goes into a theater I know that can give me the greatest benefit of a naval space. Which one would I want to put this in?
Yeah. So. I think we were really surprised by this. And we have the expansions for it as well.
We have the Nippon expansion for it.
Yep. A great Paolo Mori game.
Yeah. the other game of his we have will be showing up much later.
It will. And that... Oh, yes. Okay.
Not today, but later.
No, way later.
Okay. Okay, number 5 is the first board game we owned together. Aw, isn't that cute? It's a Civil War game. It's Battlecry at 8.25, Richard Borg. This is Wizards of the Coast. They printed the 150th commemorative edition for the American Civil War. And it came with new scenarios, but on top of that, there are a ton of people online who make new scenarios for Battlecry all the time. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Battlecry was the first one he did in the series.
It's going back to like the 70s. No, not.
No, it's maybe 90s, early 2000s.
I'm thinking of American Civil War.
Oh,
one my dad had.
Yep.
And Battlecry definitely gets the 8.25, partially for nostalgia. Because if you've heard me talk in a variety of different videos and on Instagram, I've talked about like the huge nostalgia factor for Battlecry because it was the first modern board game that we owned together. There's something that we owned that was not together that we were into before that. The Spanish Main game.
Oh, the little pirate ships with the tiniest dice in the world. It wasn't a game. You just pushed your ship to the island, got the gold, and came back, and the game was over.
Half of the fun was building those ships and wondering if they would break or not.
Yeah, the fun, but then it would snap.
Yeah.
And you found that really rare ship, and you're like, oh boy!
Yeah. So if you played Spanish Main, that was like the 2004 time.
Pirates of the Spanish Main.
Let us know in the comments, and we can... I think I got rid of the box I had of it somewhat
some
recently.
of them upstairs.
Anyway, that's just a tangent over there. But Battlecry was my first modern board game, and huge, like, emotional attachment to it because it was my mom bought it for us.
We're still playing it. We haven't even gotten through all the scenarios yet. There are 30 scenarios in the base box for the 150th anniversary edition.
Yeah, it was a Christmas gift for our first Christmas back in 2010, and we're still playing it 10 years later. And I just think about my mom going out and buying that game, and it's still here. It was like really the beginning of everything for us in terms of all of this.
It was a slow trickle, but it really was the cornerstone of the whole thing.
It was. I remember that first winter playing so many games of Battlecry together, and when I actually stood a chance at winning. I do now.
We got a chance to meet Richard Borg at Gen Con, and the first question that he asked us was, so which war were you introduced to my games with? And I thought that's a very interesting thing, because I could have said, well, we actually play Thunder and Lightning or Liar's Dice. But no, he asked, which war did you start with my games? Yeah,
I have a Richard Borg story, but I'm not going to say it here.
That's fine. No, that's all I wanted to say is that he's very approachable, very nice to talk to.
He's like a grandpa.
He'll talk your ear off about all these Commands and Colors games and what he's working on, what's in the pipeline.
Yeah.
For you Outlander fans, there is a Jacobite Rebellion standalone expansion box for the Tricolors he did through the American Revolution series. So if you are into Scottish history, he just came out with all of that.
Or you like Outlander.
Or you like Outlander.
So yes, that was... So you've learned a little about the two of us. Sorry, I poked you over there.
I thought I saw a ginger jerk.
Oh, a ginger jerk is right down there. Let's see if I can get him to come up while you're talking about number 4.
Number 4 is The Battle of Five Armies at 8.375. This is the game that was put out by Armies Games back in 2014. It came out on the heels of the last Hobbit film, though it has nothing to do with the Hobbit film. This is based off the books. It's the last battle, you have Erebor and all that. You have Bard, you've got the orcs coming in, and one person's playing the Free Peoples. You have the Shadow player as well. And what I find interesting about this one is, if you're playing as the Shadow player, you have to really come out swinging. Because as soon as the Eagles arrive and Beorn arrives, you're done. It also offers some differences from War of the Ring, mainly the combat wound mechanics. Like, you get wounds, and you don't take units away from the field until the wounds exceed the number of units in the spot, and it's really kind of interesting.
It is. I was totally distracted by what you were saying because of Ginger Jerk.
Oh, why don't you give us your thoughts, then?
I really do like Battle of Five Armies. Do I love it as much as War of the Ring? No.
It's faster, though.
It's faster. It's not as good. I really enjoy it. I have played both sides in this one pretty equally, I think, whereas War of the Ring, I traditionally play as the shadow player. I like playing both sides on this. But just like with War of the Ring, Battle of Five Armies, it's so essential to use your dice correctly and be using all of your cards. Because if you're not doing that the whole time, you're just not going to win. I like, the artwork. I like the minis. I like, the board.
Thematic.
It is super thematic.
If you're a Tolkien fan, there are 2 games I tell you should play: War of the Ring and Battle of Five Armies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Battle of Five Armies, I think, is much easier to learn.
Oh, yes.
Than War of the Ring. But it's still, the box on that is getting just as worn down and beat up as War of the Ring.
When we get to W's, we'll have to pull out War of the Ring box and show you just how beat up this thing is.
Yeah.
It's well traveled.
It is well traveled. Our number 3 is Blood Rage. Come On Games, or Come On, or Simon, or
Cool Mini or Not.
Cool Mini or Not, or whatever
you wish to be
calling
called
themselves these days. And 8.375, which I think has fallen over the years.
I think it's because there really isn't. I'm not sure with this last Kickstarter what they added, but as far as we have it, we don't have any expansion material besides the gods and the Mystics.
Yes.
But there is a bunch of new stuff that came out with the recent Kickstarter, but we'll see. It's a really neat area control game.
It is. I remember when this game came out, I wanted it really badly. I was on the Blood Rage train like a crazy lady. And I think I hounded our FLG ass, like, did you get it in? Did you get it in? I want it. I want it. I want it. I think it plays fine at 2 players.
Yeah.
I do sometimes like it more with more players, just because there's so many cards that we don't see at 2 players.
You never see the sea serpent at 2 players, and you never see
Isn't that the troll?
The frost
maybe?
giant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
So there is that's missing. But yeah, I mean, it still stays in our collection. We don't play it nearly as often as we used to, but still very enjoyable. One that we've maybe won equally,
yes,
of sorts, which is a novelty with area control games.
And it's the only game, I think, in our collection that doesn't have a tiebreaker in the rulebook.
Oh my word. There was like one time when we tied, and I was like, there has to be a tiebreaker. Yeah. And there is none.
There is none in the rulebook. If there is in the new edition, or if there is in the old and I just never caught it, let me know what it is.
I thought we had gone on BGG too and looked. Even if it was the person who had the longest beard. Like, I don't care. Something. Like, something. Even if it was stupid. Just to pacify my heart over here. So, our number 2 is really my number 1.
It's true because to be honest, I rated these before you did.
I did.
I rated these before you. So when you gave your ratings, that's what did it. And the other is just such in high regard for me right now. But number 2 is Brass Lancashire, or Brass OG. Yes, I just said OG on camera.
The new edition. We have the new edition on this one. It's Roxley Games.
Absolutely gorgeous.
8.75. Mr. Cuddington artwork. I love this game. I feel like we had kind of a love-hate relationship with Martin Wallace games before this came along, and then we were like, give me all the Martin Wallace.
Yeah. He had done a few Civil War games that didn't quite click with us. And there was something else that he designed that we just were like, it was okay.
The Doctor Who game?
Oh, then there's that. Martin Wallace, please talk to us about what happened with the Doctor Who card game.
Oh,
Well, talk more about Lancashire. This is your favorite.
I don't feel like I stand a chance in this or number one, which I'm sure you figured out what it is by now. The card play in this, I think, is just so... It's lucky of sorts in terms of what cards you draw, but in terms of your money management, it's really not lucky at all.
The nice thing about the cards is the only time it really needs to match is when you're building something on that location. The nice thing that he did was you could do other things by just saying, I'm going to play this card. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing, but I'm playing it because I need to play it to do an action. Yeah.
It feels like an economic game to me without it being like an 18xx. I just really like this game. I like the 2 phases. I think at 2 players, it's just really smooth and really great. I'm not worried at all about that part of the map that you can't even get to with the 2 player. It just is really tight. We're in each other's hair. And again, the iron clays that came with it are fantastic.
Even if you don't have Brass Birmingham or Brass Lancashire and I think it's the big edition with iron clays, and you don't already have poker chips you don't like, ask your FLGS to order these iron clays for you because they are fantastic.
Yeah, Iron Clays has done a couple of Kickstarters, I think, just for the chips. Just the coloration on them is fantastic. But yes, Brass Lancashire I would play any day because I think it's less complicated and more intuitive than number 1. The number 1.
See, I think the opposite.
Which is Brass Birmingham.
I think Brass Birmingham flows better.
Oh! And an 8.875. You like it better because it has beer.
No, there are some of the tracks I like better. I always fall for it. I always build ships in Lancashire. And I'm like, where'd all my money go? Sure, I got a lot of points, but where did it all go?
Yeah, you end up winning, though, in Brass Lancashire.
Oh, you've won Lancashire more than I have.
Maybe.
And I have my stats to prove it.
Oh. I don't keep the BG stats as well as Matt does. So
no,
I have no proof of that.
It's definitely... With Birmingham, I love how the depots change, like what the demands are at the edges of the board with the chits.
Oh yes.
So it's not the same thing I have to do each game. I get to think about how do I want to do it here. I want to do. Are we boring you?
Sorry. Worked a 10-hour day today.
So it makes me think on my toes that I can't just do the same thing over and over again. I think that's why I like Brass Birmingham. Brass Lancashire, I can pretty much, once I find a strategy that works for me, and I eventually will find that strategy, I feel like with Lancashire, I'm more likely to repeat the same game each time.
Okay. That's fair, I suppose.
The beer helps, though.
I told you, folks. Birmingham, I mean... In theory, I don't like it any less than Matt does. In theory, I don't really like it any less than I like Lancashire. I guess I think generally people like Birmingham better than Lancashire. I think Birmingham is number 4 now.
It's high.
On BGG, and Lancashire is a little lower. I'll play any of these any day of the week, honestly. So, it's really splitting hairs of sorts which one I like better. And I suppose if someone said, "Oh, should you have both in your collection? Should you pick one over the other?" I mean, at the heart, they're very similar, but it's like Azul, I suppose. you can have more than one Azul in your collection and be okay. I don't know.
I'm trying to think what I would recommend.
I suppose it would depend on the person and their preferences.
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, a lot like an Azul recommendation.
Yeah. So that is our Bs, folks. What are your favorite B games that start with the letter B? And we are the Bartletts over here, so this should be our favorite list of all time, right?
Join us next week when we go through 39 games that start with C in our collection.
We're going to do the same thing we did this week. We're going to just zoom right through 39 to 16.
Yep.
Ding, 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 ding. Number 15 will be a fun one to talk about. So if you haven't liked or subscribed to us on YouTube, we like that. We like you. Hopefully you like us. And the Ginger Jerk, of course. You have been having Stonewall in all of the numbered videos so far.
I know.
I am Jen, the board game librarian, and I'm joined by my husband, Matt, the dice chucker. Together we are the literary gamers, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.